Chapter 25, Grunched. Brace yourself, we've arrived at the big climatic ending of the story. Ready? You sure? Okay, here we go. I pulled the ropes of Hoggett's snout and bent down to pick him up. The poor little thing was trembling with fear and whimpering quietly. It's okay, Buddy, I said, stroking his scaly head. You're safe now. Bundling him under my arm, I stood up to see Grogber making a run for it across the lawn. You'll never get me, you rancidorous peasant. As if the magic doors had sensed Grogber was getting close, they began to creak open. You actually thought a squivelling scrunt like you could defeat a hunksome prince like me? The door opened further. In a few seconds it would be too late. I was about to jump over the patio wall and try my luck at catching up with Grogber when I noticed Hoggett was getting really hot under my arm. I looked down and saw a fierce glow coming from between his lumpy scales. My little pet began to vibrate and a rumbling sound echoed out through his open mouth. Then, for the first time ever, Hoggett let rip, the most tremendous spray of fire I'd ever seen. It exploded through the air and engulfed the boulder completely. Grogber screamed and reeled backwards. What's going on? Mum cried, running out of the conservatory. Hoggett, Dad yelled as he joined her. I couldn't turn round with Hoggett shooting fire through the air, but I could hear the sounds of the hotel guests and the pirate crew assembling behind me. Look at him go, Calamitous shouted. Stupendous. Keep Hoggett aimed in the right direction, Frankie, Mum told me. Melt that boulder, said Dad. I could feel he was practically hopping with excitement. The night air began to fill with a sour burning smell as the boulder started to glow yellow, then purple, and finally white. If gonna blow, the Molar sisters wailed together. Dizzle, it good and proper, Frankie. Grogber was frozen to the spot with a look of terror on his face. He watched as great globs of molten rock started pouring down the sides of his escape route and splashing on the scorched earth. Have anyone got any marshmallows? The Molar sisters continued. Blop, blub, gloop, plop. A huge gurgling sound erupted from beneath the boulder and it sank into the ground, oozing back the way it had come in a tremendous lava flow. There was silence for a moment until all eyes slowly turned to Grogber. The toady little sneak had his mouth hanging open like he was trying to catch flies. Then he glanced up and saw the patio was crowded with guests and goblin pirates, and he jolted back to his senses. Grogber glared at me. He looked like he was about to be sick with rage. I hate you. I hate all dirtish, putrid, puffy-faced, spine-jangled, weakly, commoners, mucksome, stupid humans. But I especially hate you. One of the goblin guards that Mrs. Dunch had whacked across the garden had dropped his sword as he flew through the air. It was sticking up out of the edge of the flower bed, and Grogber made a lunge for it. I'm going to poke holes in you and your manxome little dragon and use you as a tea strainer, the prince screamed at me. Not so fast, Calamitous hopped over the patio wall down to the lawn. Ain't you forgetting something, Prince Grogber, said Granny. She lumbered down the patio steps and joined Captain Plank. The prince sneered at them both. The bristly battle has been fought and won, and now, as is the goblin way, it's time for punishments, Calamitous said. Yes, I know, Grogber hissed. That's why I'm taking you all as slaves. Form an orderly queue. You brain-bungled boggart, Tempestra pointed her sword at the prince. You lost. Has she gone mad? Grogber laughed. It's true, said Gladys Potts. We beat your guards. Reginald Blink grinned. I might have a few for breakfast in the morning, Granny said with a crooked smirk. Oh, yes, Madam Macready said, patting her stomach greedily. Delicious. Oof, squish, said Oof. Prince Grogber's face flinched for the tiniest of seconds. The corner of his eye twitched and he started opening and closing his mouth at a rapid pace. I could almost see the cogs whirring inside his tiny brain. Lost? That's right, Calamitous said. You and your army of grunty gawpers have lost. Right now my crew are taking them on board the blistered barnacle, where they'll be fed and armed and become salty-eyed sea donks. The only plunkling left to deal with is you. Please don't kill me, Grogber wailed. I'm too beautiful to die. Calamitous laughed. Kill you, he said. We're not going to kill you. You're not, Grogber smiled with relief. Nope. Calamitous walked slowly towards the prince. The thief of the diamond dentures has to pay a far more gut-bungling price for their terrible crime. What price? Grogber's bottom lip started to tremble. Oh, it's terrible. Calamitous leered and clicked his diamond teeth together. But it's not death. No? Phew, at least it's not that, Grogber said. For stealing the diamond dentures, Prince Grogber, your sentence is to spend the rest of your miserable days as Chief of Laundry on board my ship. What? You'll sew and wash and dry and scrub, and after a long time at sea, my crew can get very smelly indeed. Kill me, Grogber howled. Please kill me. Not a chance. With that, Grogber brandished his sword again and started walking slowly backwards. His eyes were the size of dinner plates, and he was mumbling gibberish under his breath. There's nowhere to go, Grogber, Dad said. The Goblin Prince was squelching backwards through the flower bed, waggling the sword to and fro. "Here, watch my flowers," Mr. Kokum grumbled from the crowd. "Stuff your stupid flowers," Grogber spat at him. "I'm Prince Grogber, and I always win." He backed further and further away from us, swinging his sword about until he passed into a shadowy spot with a row of thorny-looking spikes above and below it. For a second I couldn't quite make out what I was looking at, but then I realised. "Grogber," I yelled, "come back." Never. The prince was walking backwards straight into the open mouth of a snoring, sharp-toothed Borgunzer, Mr. Crocombe shouted at his sleeping wife. "Mrs. Venus!" Everyone joined in, but it was too late. Prince Grogber stepped on the back of her tongue and gulp. Mrs. V clamped her teeth shut, swallowed, and smacked her lips sleepily. She slowly raised her enormous head on her stalk neck and shook her tendrils awake. "Blah! I've got a horrible taste in my mouth," she said, yawning. That's when she noticed the gaggle of guests and staff all standing below her, staring up in shock and surprise. "Ooh, I must have nodded off. Has the prince arrived yet?"